ранок, друзі. Ситуація в Україні залишається контрольованою. Противник вчора.
Greetings, my friends. The situation in Ukraine remains under control. Yesterday, after replenishing reserves and rear supplies, the enemy began to move in separate directions. He achieved the greatest success in the city of Enerhodar and partially established control over the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. He managed to advance near the city of Voznesensk. This is approximately the direction from Mykolaiv to Kryvyi cities. Our troops stopped him. There is a battle going on right now. All enemy attempts to advance towards Mykolaiv were repulsed. Another hot spot is again the northern direction from the city of Kharkiv. There are fights going on right now. Ground units, artillery, and aviation stops the enemy. The city of Kharkiv is subjected to crushing blows from the enemy, but the defense is holding. The situation there is known worldwide. The attention of the international community is riveted to Kharkiv and Okhtyrka. In Okhtyrka, there was an attempt to destroy the local aviation of the thermal power plant, but the defense withstanding. The enemy suffers huge losses, then throws additional reserves, which otherwise could be used in a more dangerous direction, for example, in the Kyiv region. The heroic defense of Okhtyrka and Kharkiv firstly forced the enemy to stop, secondly, to change the direction for development of the main attack, and thirdly, forced to transfer additional reserves. This is what skillful resistance on the ground gives. Yesterday, I recorded a video where I urged international sanctions to work, as well as the actions of our leadership. The city of Chernihiv withstood a powerful airstrike. The leadership of the defense forces holds the city, holds the enemy, and the enemy does not advance in that direction. Mariupol is partially under siege, but the situation is under control. The military on the ground hold. The city reflects the attempts of the enemy to completely cordon off the city. The humanitarian situation there is somewhat tense, but this is also the subject of the negotiations with representatives of the Russian Federation in Belarus and negotiations of the country's leadership with the top leadership of partner countries and international organizations. The situation is resolved. We are talking about the establishment of humanitarian corridors for the removal of residents and the supply of essential products. As for Odessa, there is no immediate security there. The armed forces of Ukraine, the defense forces, the leadership of the city are controlling the region, controlling the situation. There are few attempts by the enemy ship fleet to fire, suppressed by our artillery in response. The overall situation is under control. Me and the leadership of the armed forces and the leadership of the state, we are taking direct measures to stop the enemy in those areas in which they are trying to develop the offensive. There are not many such directions, and we crossed them out. Yesterday, several powerful fire strikes were inflicted on the enemy, which stopped his progress in other directions. I think that behind such an order of actions that is happening, behind the way the leadership of the armed forces skillfully managing the defense operation, we can be cautiously optimistic about the further prospects for the development of the enemy offensive. I think it will be stopped in other areas as well. Follow our next reports.
Доброго, гарного вам дня і слідкуйте за нашими наступними повідомленнями.